in order. So this is the today's topic. I hope my screen is visible. And this is my brief biodata about myself. So it is also having some meaning in this presentation. I don't want to make you to search about myself. So I'm giving my information in an optimum way. So whatever the key points of myself that I have put here. So it is a one objective of this session. So at the end of the session, we would be able to know whenever we go for searching some information, every one of us wants some optimal result so that our time of search is getting optimized. Our content, meaningful content, whatever you are interested, it is being given to you. So that is the major purpose of this session. So purposefully, I made my slide over here. And this also has many detailed link. So you can see here, there are many links I have provided. Those who want further read. So if you want to further have a feed on this, you can go with this particularly. So this is a kind of a gist of our outcome of the session. So purposefully, the slide has been made. And with that, let me move into the session. So this is the outcome you are going to get out of the session. For any topic of interest, you are going to have a fruitful search results. Okay, so we will go further. So to start with, many of them might have told in the past days also what is MIS, but still, as it is a search optimization, I'm just giving relevant definition related to our optimization of search. So with respect to that, what is an MIS is? It is a kind of a computer information systems. So there are lots of computing resources. They are managing the information for the purpose of making better decision in order to manage the business sector. There are lots of business, either it may be educational sector or it may be a health sector or it may be a pharmaceutical sector, whatever it is. They have lots of information and they need to collect that information and need to process that using different computing resources in order to make a decision on improvising their business. That is the ultimate aim of building a MIS. To know about what is this information, why I have to analyze, I start with a simple case study because many of you might have focus on statistical analysis. So with that, I'll open my session with a simple case study. I hope everyone can easily understand this simple case study, irrespective of your branch of study. So what is the case study I have taken here is to learn about the relation between the data. So you are collecting some data for the business. How do you know that the data are relevant? So here a simple example, a country, it wants to know the relation between the safety and security index of its people and the human development index. And here the safety and security index is assumed to be an independent variable and human development index is another independent variable. But are there any relation among them? So that is the study. So for any business, that is the case. There will be variety of parameters are there. You may want to know about on which aspect your business is getting developed, right? So like that here also, this case study takes analysis on two different parameters. So the research question here is, for analyzing this information, what I am taking as a research question is, are there any statistical significant relation exist between these two variables? So you can apply it to any of your environment, on your environment of research or your business tech sector, you are having some two data. You want to analyze, are there having any relation between them? A simple way of finding the relation is by having a hypothetical test. So you have a hypothesis, a positive hypothesis as well as a negative hypothesis. So what is positive? There is a statistical significant relation. Significantly, they are relevant to each other. And what is the negative hypothesis? There is no statistically significant relation. So they are totally independent of each other. And if that is totally independent, there won't be a meaningful decision you will arrive by combining those two parameters, right? If there is a relation, then only you can combine them and you can come out with a relation. So for that, what we can do as a simple analysis is we can build relation between these two variables by comparing the mean of the dependent variable between two or more groups. So you can take up the data based on one variable, you can divide them into two groups. Among them, you can verify or the second variable is having some dependency or not. For which the tool what you can go to use is the either ANOVA tool, that is analysis of variance, or a t-test tool, statistical tool, right? So here, what I wanted to convey indirectly with the search optimization is, whenever a data is available, we a human being want to make some decision out of the data. We want to analyze the data. We want to find out the relation between the data, but we don't want to do it manually because we want to optimize our data search. So what do? We go with the computing resources like tools or in a computer for doing that automatically. So when I do that data analysis through my statistical tools, as I told, one parameter, I'm taking it as a grouping parameter. So suppose I take, in these two cases, there are 53 people have been taken and their SSI value as well as HDA value have been measured. Their minimum range, maximum range, mean value as well as standard deviation values were calculated as the statistical parameters. From this 53 value, we are going to divide them into two groups based on the SSI. That is one variable. Now what happens? There is one group with a low SS value and there is another group with a high SS value. And within the 21, I wanted to know what is the range of the other variable. What is the dependency they have. So as we do the ANOVA test here, we found two different parametric value which decides which hypothesis is true or false. So normally the effect size as well as the p-score, they two are the significant value that will decide are they having a relation or not. So if the p-value is greater than 0.05, they have a significant relation as well as the effect size. If the effect size is strong, then also you can say that they have a dependency. As both of them are having a very good value, you can say that the H0 hypothesis can be rejected and H1 can be accepted. So this is the simplest way of connecting the information in order to make out some decisions, right? And this is one simple scenario where the business people wanted to make some decisions from the available data. And why I come out with this case study is, whenever you are dealing with information, they have lots of attributes in order to make a decisions. So we need to know the redundancy among the attributes. Some of the attributes may be independent. If they are independent, there is no point in combining them together. So the growth of one parameter is not at all dependent on another attribute, means we need not maintain that information. So it becomes a noisy information. So to avoid such kind of a noisy parameters only, they do this kind of an analysis. So why I have opened this? For doing any optimum search also, there can be a lot of attributes available in your business on maintaining your information. But you are going to do a statistical analysis on identifying certain meaningful attribute which are going to give you a fruitful results. So that is the way I have taken with the simple analysis. I hope it is clear for the audience. Maybe can I have a response from the audience? Can I have a demonstration of this one by one as I complete the discussions, or can we see it at the end? How do you want? Can I have some interaction? Can we have a demonstration of coding as and when we complete the topic, or can we see it at the end? Can you respond in the chat box? I'm seeing the chat box now. Are there any? Yeah. Can we see it at the end or in between? Yeah. We can see it in between, right? At the end. Okay. So the feedback comes as they want to see there are two feedbacks. So how do I balance it? Can I have some more vote? One says at the end, another says in between. Yeah, in between. Yeah, that's fine. Because as and when we learn, we can see so that we can easily recall the things. So I hope my screen is visible to you. I'm taking the Python environment for demonstrating one such ANOVA analysis. I hope it is visible to you. If there is any disconnect, please inform me. Yeah. So this is the place where whatever I told in the theoretical way that has been demonstrated here, but with a different example. Here the example is, this is the data I have. See, this is your index number for your data, and you have 4 group of data. A is one group, B is another group, C is another group, and D is another group, like your SSI, right? Low SSI, high SSI, like that you have 4 groups here, and their parametric value is available here. And that value is being projected here, that's all. So using Panda package in Python, I'm projecting whatever the value I have. So you can see there are 20 dots, 20 red color dots. That is your distribution of the data. I'm using the box method for displaying the data. So for 4 group of ABCD, their values are being pulled here, and this box indicate their range. So that is the way this data has been plotted, and for which I'm going to do the analysis here. So let me first read out the data here. I'm just running the code. If you're already aware of, Anaconda, it would be easy for you. Otherwise, I just explain what's happening here. Pandas is the package for handling your data, and you are opening your data available for one-way ANOVA test from the public website. I'm using the URL, which is publicly available data. I'm reading that data and I'm putting it in a, from the data frame, I'm taking all the required data variable. I need the index, I need the values, that is group value ABCD. So I'm taking those, I'm putting it into my list, and this list has been assigned with a column of index, treatment, as well as the value column label, and those values I'm displaying here. And after that, I'm doing a box plotting as well as swarm plotting for visualizing my available data before analysis. And after that, I'm doing a statistical analysis on that data using one-way ANOVA. So I just call the function one-way ANOVA by passing my group value ABCD. So among the group, we do the analysis and we find out F value as well as P value. So that value tells us that are there any significant dependence among the group or not. So based on this value, this is your effect value and this is your P value. And as they are greater than the required threshold, you can say that they are having a dependency among them. So this is the way the ANOVA analysis is happening. Yeah. So let me come back to our continuation of presentation. Yeah. So here afterwards, I will be dealing directly on search optimization, and it assumes that in the background there are certain analysis are going on. As like ANOVA analysis, this is going to do certain analysis on managing your available information in an optimal way. So with that input, we will move into the session. So normally when you do the search optimization, either you can do offline or you can do online. So what is shown is the offline kind of analysis. You are taking the data from the net and you are doing some analysis on your program. That is offline analysis. Whereas there are certain provisions are there in the website itself, and they do the online analysis for us. So that is the current trend. So normally we don't have to search for information with our own way. It is being done by the search engines. That is called as online analysis. So this is the current era where search engines are reducing the task of the business people on organizing their information so that their customers are getting the data dynamically without any manual intervention, without any offline processing. So that is the power pack of today's session. So we will move on identifying what are the fundamental definitions are there with respect to this search optimization. So I'm giving a fundamental introductions only, but anyhow, it is required for knowing into the things properly. So whenever I say a search engine, we all know it is a tool which enables us to locate any information on the World Wide Web. And whenever you interact with a search engine, you normally use the keyword. You are typing some keyword. You are expecting that your search engine should give an optimal information in a fraction of a second. So that is the requirement as on today. And those information sometimes may be organized in the form of a web directory also, like you can recall your DBLP, or you can take up your Web of Science. Those are all called as a web directory. So they are the search services, and they are arranging certain collection of the web pages in a catalog manner, either a major topic, minor topic, micro topic kind of a thing. They are organizing those information in a catalog format. So we human being who are interested in, we can choose those category name or subcategory name, and we can dwell into that particular search service. So it is called as a search service. Either it may be publicly available, or you may have to pay for that. It depends on the nature of or the quality of information they are providing for you. Sometimes this directory may be free access or open access, or sometimes it will be on payment basis. Here you can connect with your open access journals or your paid, subscribed journals. Okay, that is the best example for the web directory term. And these two, why we approach is for two reasons. One is we wanted to use the search engine for the purpose of, knowing some information as a human being. And at the business perspective, so why do they go for the search engine or web directory is in order to do their business improvements. That is the major reason they go for optimizing the search. Why is they wanted to promote their business through online. So whenever a user is interacting with their site, they wanted to capture the pattern of the user, they wanted to attract them. So that is the kind of a search engine optimization purpose. And the second purpose is search engine marketing. So as you keep on searching a particular item, they will track you and they will market their product on the website through their advertisement, advertisement path, right? This is the way why they go for this SEO or SEM. So we will see what is this SEO, SEM or rely on. They mainly rely on 4 or 5 parameters. So that this definitions we will see now. The first parameter is the page rank. So actually the page rank was proposed by Google. Larry Larry Page, who was the who was partnered with Google, he come out with this an algorithm who made the ranking for the web pages based on their important contents and based on their preferences by the user. So that is the page rank algorithm. Anyhow, I'll explain you in detail later. This is only a definition I'm giving here. The second important definition we need to know during search optimization is the pay per click. So here, this is a kind of an online advertisement channels where as the number of users are clicking over that particular link, they are ready to pay for the search engines or they are ready to pay for the web directories. So it is a kind of a service, search service. They are on a paid manner. They are giving a paid service in order to promote their business. The third parameter is the click-through rate. So here they are going to, advertising the particular, product based on the interest of the viewers. Suppose last day I purchased some laptop. Next day when I am logging in, that will show me different laptop variety because of my last purchase. So that is the kind of a click-through rate. So on your rate of visit, this is going to give you that advertisement. And the next one is the blog. Everybody know there is a concept of blogging. The like-minded people, they arrange their informations. Suppose it is about spiritual, suppose it is about health care, suppose it is about stress management, it is about some engineering concept, whatever it is, they maintain the blog, and the people who are interested in, they can follow the blog and they can get the updates of the blog. So I'm again repeating, all of them are going to happen automatically. They are not going to happen offline. I'm not going to search for anything. Everything is going to happen automatically. So that is the learner discussion today, how these things are being done automatically. And the last parameter is the RSS. That is the real simple syndication. So what is this? Whenever I wanted to share some information to my subscribers, I can go with this pattern RSS. So I need not send to every subscribers on my whatever the new information I'm going to put in my site, and it will automatically send to the subscribers if I am maintaining a RSS feed. So it is a kind of a content management with the standards. So if it is an image or a video or a text or a file, whatever it is, there is a common standard format is there. And suppose a user is subscribing for all your videos in your site. Whenever you put a new video on your site, automatically the feed will go into that particular consumer. So that is the kind of automatic communication on the new feed. And these are the fundamental definitions we should know. Then only we can able to move through the further slide in detail. So now what we are going to see is what are the way the people are using the optimum search for improvising their market trend in the business. One is, as I told, SEO. This SEO is a no cost per link, in the sense that suppose you are running your business through a website and you are going to have a SEO organization of your website. You are organizing your website in the form of SEO. In that case, your domain will be coming under no cost per link. So any customer can visit your link site and they can click on any of the pages at any link. For every click, there is no need of paying a cost for your domain server or web service provider. Whereas the next model is the search engine marketing model, where it is mainly for promoting the highest interest of the business. So as the user keep on clicking, for every clicks, you may have to pay a minimum amount so that they are given attracted to the new products of your business. So that is the main objective here. So these two model, how they are going to work further, we will see. I hope up to this point, you people were able to follow what I'm saying. If I am I'm saying very fundamental definition means, is my voice clear? Yes. Hello.
Yes, madam. Somebody told voice is not clear. So
okay, now. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Voice is clear, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, is the introduction is okay, or am I going very fundamental? I wanted to know what the level of audience here. If I'm going very fundamental, I can go faster.
Ma'am, it's useful for us because we are not from the IT background. We are understanding what you're saying, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Then it is okay. Fine.
Yeah, ma'am. Exactly.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So these are the two way your strategy is going to work for doing a search on any website. So these two strategy I'm going to elaborate in detail on each and every part of this process. And after that, we will see the working mode, coding part also for every of these stages. If wherever it is possible, I will show you the coding also. Yeah. So this SEO, first of all, we will have a basic definition of what is this SEO. As I told, it is a no cost per click. And this SEO is an act of modifying a website to increase its ranking, right, in an organic way. And for which we are going to have a ranking of our website by means of a crawler based listing. So you will be adapting a crawler service web crawler service, and they will take care of, promoting your website. So why I should promote? Because I'm passionate in promoting my business. I'm designing my website for the business. I need to attract my customers. Whenever the customer is going to search anything on the search engine, my business site has to be it has to come into their page ranking, right? Then only they will see the site and they will move into the site. So that is one reason why we go for this SEO. And how this organic search is going to work on your site. You are having a website. There are two ways. Either you can use a crawler or you can use a scraper. So these are the two ways. So I'll tell you what is this. The crawler, what it will do is it will automatically crawl to your websites. And wherever you are having a designed components of your website, those will be gathered and they will be collected in a index. And those list of links will be helpful for your search engines. Similarly, that will keep them by arranging them into a web pages, or they may be arranging them into a URLs. Like that, they will be having a variety of indexing models based on the category of your links for the purpose of quick search. That is the reason, right? And based on those data, how far relevantly you have provided the link in your website. Accordingly, for your website, the search engine will be providing an index. And that index is the key for making your website getting displayed to the user whenever they are interacting with the search engine. Maybe at this particular point, I wanted to show my own website so that you can understand better what I mean by these things. I will demonstrate you all the concepts along with my website also. Yeah. So there are major search engines have been shown here where usually people are searching for information. We wanted to link our business website to the search engine optimally. So that is the idea here. How optimally your business website can be given to the customer whenever they are typing something on the Google. That's all. Suppose you are opening an ebook library, you are opening an e-commerce site, whatever it is. Whenever they type a keyword, your site has to be ranked at the top. Then only they will view your website at the very first or second, third page of the search engine. So that is the ultimate aim of our discussion today. So we will move further. So typically what is a web search engine is doing is whenever your user is interacting through the user interfaces, they will be typing a query. So the query will be processed in the query engine. Maybe the query processing is a separate domain. Maybe people might have taught you. So this query engine will be taking your keyword, and these keywords are the icons of the index also. So whenever you are putting a website design, you will be providing a lot of page link and you will be providing a lot of content links also. And those links will be given index. I will show you in my website how the index I have added. So based on the indexing only, the web crawler will be automatically take up those website indexes and they will map with the query engine keyword. So it's a two-way communication. So the query engine keyword is being taken as an index, and the indexer with the help of the crawler will be returning the corresponding links to the user, back to the user. So the user is typing the keyword, he is getting the URL back from the crawler. So this is the actual concept of search engine. And the crawler is the part of discussion we are going to take further. So what the crawler does, as I told, it is getting lots of data from your website, and it is going to get only the fresh data. It means whenever you are modifying your site, automatically it has to throw the older links, older data, and older keyword and everything. So that is the meaning. It says it's going to handle a fresh data, and whatever the site you are connecting with the crawler, they are with the URL, they are going to create and repopulate that data through the search engines, and people can use a variety of hyperlink for the crawler, so that will create a lot number of indexes. So the index also is a very iconic item for searching. What I mean to say is, sometimes in your website, you may refer to another site. But what is more promoting for a business is other site should have a link for your site. As you get lot of hyperlinks for your site, that is the great promotion for your business site. So that is the idea, they say. And without this crawler, it is very unlikely to do the search. So that is the fundamental component of any search. And what are the policies this is maintaining is selection policy. That is, whenever you do a particular search, what sort of pages has to be downloaded, and whenever you do a revisit, how it has to revisit, what sort of catching it has to follow, catch policy it has to follow. And suppose a particular website is being overloaded by many variety of user on a traffic day. Suppose it is the last day for registration. You can imagine IRCTC site, how they are going to be overloaded. So that is a kind of a policy. We need to maintain the traffic, and how you can do the coordination by distributing the web crawler. Suppose you have a large number of pages in your website, and the data is also getting dynamically updated. You can think of parallelizing your web crawler also across the web pages. So these are some of the policy they are maintaining for bringing a lot more innovation for your web content search. And the second technique is the scrapping. So what is the scrapping is, it will take the HTML format of your website through the URL of your website. And normally our website will be having unstructured data, right? So whatever the data we have, that is going to be converted into a structured data here. So it is a kind of an automatic searching of your information, and it will organize you in a readable format. Either you can store the unstructured data into a structured form in a central database or in your local database, or you can show it in your spreadsheet. And it will only, what it will do is, it will do only the collection of the data. The difference between crawler and scrapper is, crawler will allow you to read through the links. You can read through the hyperlinks, it will follow it, and it will give you the indexes to get ranking for your site. Whereas web scraping is for analyzing your content in order to identify especially the keyword of your particular site content. So that is the purpose of the scrapping. So let me show you the scrapping content with the help of some coding part, so that I can in between make a flow break. So I'll show you how the scrapping is happening here. Yeah. So for doing the scrapping, the Python is having a package called HTML5 library, as the websites are following the HTML5 standards, and it is taking care of the request. In order to read the HTTP request content, that is from the website, it has to read the content. No, for that it is using the request package, and it is using another scrapper called Beautiful Soap. So this Beautiful Soap is one such scrapper service, popular scrapper service. It is open source, using which you can do the scrapping of the data. So what is the scrapping of data? You need not run through the content of a website manually to identify what content it is having. Whatever may be your URL, you can specify any publicly available URL, and you are going to make a request of reading the content of the URL, and that is coming as a content, raw content, as per your HTML format, right? And from that format, I am going to do the scrapping here. So scrapping is going to happen here. So see what I do. I took here another URL, but I can demonstrate both the URLs also, nothing wrong. So here what the purpose is, I am taking a reading of that particular URL, and I am taking the content. From the content, I am identifying a particular attribute. I told you already, HTMLs are having lots of attributes for recognizing their content. And the interest of my reading here is, I wanted to scrap only the all codes. So whatever the codes available in the particular site, I wanted to read them automatically. And after I read it, I am going to arrange them in a proper way in a tabular form. So what is the theme of the particular code? What is the URL for it? What is the image content it is having? What are the line split it is following? And who is the author of that particular code? And like that, every one of the codes which are available in this particular site. Okay, they are being collected and they are being put into a table, and that table we are going to see over here. So this is the idea. So my table name is code. Inside my table, I'm collecting all the code from the particular site. I'm putting into the display format, right? So if I see, I have taken a particular site, and whatever the site HTML, by seeing the HTML content of the site only, I can decide what what ID I can extract from the particular website. So they deal with a particular concept. So on that particular concept, I'm taking up the contents and I'm listing out here. So you can see for every one of those inspirational quote site. I'll show you the site also here. From there, we have collected all the information. Now it is ready for further processing. You can do whatever the analysis you want on that particular site. Yeah, this is the original site, but it has lots of other components, right? But I am interested only on the particular ID called all codes. So it is taking up only that attribute value and they have been displayed over here. So this is the way you can automatically do the scrapping of the data. So all data have been pulled to you. Now you can do your further analysis on this particular site. You can let to know whether are you interested in this particular site, and you can make it on your favorite site also. This is one such reason why we go for scrapping. So is that clear for all? Any doubts as of now?
Yes, madam. Professor Komudi, madam.
Sir?
Yeah, I have one doubt, madam, regarding actually.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have 100 computer, madam, in a particular cell.
Yes, sir.
Student daily coming and going, madam.
Okay.
So I want the detail about the student utilization per computer. How many students are using per computer or particular computer? What are the site they are using per day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if it is any possibility
actually, there is a tool called LDAP, sir. LDAP server is there, sir.
Okay.
LDAP server. This LDAP server, what it will do is it will be part of the proxy. When you are doing the networking, sir, you will be doing a proxy setup. So in that proxy server, you can install this LDAP server also. So this LDAP will be trapping all the requests, URL requests, which is coming from the users. And that will be logging into that particular server, sir. LDAP is meant for logging. So actually in our institution, we are using that. So whatever the time I am using my college server, every log information will be moving into that particular server. And that will even store all the links I am clicking, not only the site name, title, not only the title tag, it will be storing all the links I am visiting on that particular site. Suppose I am moving from that site by clicking a link to another site. That outlinks will also be stored, sir. At what time I am clicking, how far I am residing in the particular link, everything will be stored automatically, sir.
Yeah, this is actually online or offline, madam?
It is being done online, sir. It is a kind of a service. LDAP service.
I am talking, I want such a kind of information, whether online or offline, so that I have to make it. How many students are using the particular system?
Sir. Because if we do offline means, it is not so easy. We need to know their IP addresses. We need to know their HTTP request and everything. But this is being done automatically by the LDAP server because all the requests are coming to the proxy. Because web services are provided only at the proxy server. Even though we are at some distributed places, the services are provided by the proxy server only. So at that particular point, this LDAP will be trapping. It will be storing only. It will not do any analysis. If you want to make it as an intelligent one, you can do the analysis, sir. So what you can do is, You can make certain analysis on the URL, and you can restrict the students not to access certain URL. That is the purpose of proxy, right, sir?
Okay.
Yes, sir. That way
But
we can
actually, it is maintained only for administration level, right? Admin level.
Yeah, admin level.
It is
Because
admin level.
it's a central service. Yes, sir. It is only a
Yeah.
central service. But if
So
you
that
want,
it is, so I want a particular setup because if every time I have to ask the admin level, it is very difficult. So I want to install any open source particular
okay,
room.
on your
Yeah.
laboratory you wanted to set, right, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when a particular that proxy server is having that, in our machine also we can see the history, but you wanted to know trap it, right? You wanted to trap
Yes,
on
yes.
your end. Okay. For which I'm not very sure, but being in network management, you are asking. You wanted to know about the network management on a particular
Yes.
client. You would like to trap what they are doing, but the service is LDAP. But what you wanted is you wanted to implement it at your own local LAN. You wanted to say, right, sir?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I will tell the available tool and after
Yeah.
the
No
discussion
problem.
and
Yes.
sure.
Thank you.
Yes. It's similar to LDAP only. That's all.
Yes, madam. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, is the scrapping clear for all of you? Can I go further? Okay. I don't get any responses. Yes. Okay. We'll go further. So scrapping, I already demonstrated you. And this is a major difference between the crawler and the scrapper. So crawler, what it is do is it is visiting all the links on your site. If some of the links are dangling links, that will be immediately informed to the web maintainer, and whatever the correct links, they will be put up into the index list, and they will be useful for your search engines. And in the web scraping, what happens? The scrapper will be doing a distributed service of your data, and whatever the structure of your website content on your interested scrapping, they will be putting either in the form of XML format or in the form of structured databases, or it may be stored in your Excel file. In any way, unstructured data is going to be converted into a structured data on different formats. That is the role of your scrapper. So it is more on content and it is more on links. Both are essential for a search. So whenever you are dealing with your business, the content is most essential for promoting your business, and the management of your links is also more essential. So what is the key advice is, in your website, many of the link should visit within your website. It can go from page 1 to page 3, page 3 to page 7, page 7 to page 1 again. Like that, they can go a inner tour. But if you keep on adding the links for other sites, means they are called as outbound links. When you are putting the link within your site, it is the reference links. But if you are promoting other sites to visit your website, that is the inbound links. That is most expected for improving your business. Right? Yeah. So after we do the crawling or a scrapping, what we do is we wanted to extract the information from the website, and we wanted to keep those information for visibility of the user, and that is being done with the help of a variety of search engines as well as web directory, as I already told you. But more than web directory, many of the searches are done only by search engine. More than 88.86% of search informations are managed by search engines, they say. And what are the way you can strategize yourself for promoting your business, either by adopting the scrapping or crawling on what parameter? So there are variety of discussions we can take now. The first one scheme is domain name strategy. That is, you need to concentrate on designing your domain name. So for which, what do they advise is the domain name should also be a kind of a keyword. Suppose I say a site name is www.123456.com. So that is the domain name. But that 123456 will not give any meaning for your domain name. So to promote or optimize your search, domain name is also a key. That is the first strategy. So identifying an optimum domain name is also important, very, very important, because sometimes the keyword will be directly mapped with the title tag also. So that is nothing but your domain name. So you have to use the keyword by indicating the location, suppose .in, .uk, that will be the preferable domain name. And then advertising term, suppose it is on business, you can say e-commerce or whatever the way you wanted to advertise your business terms along with your domain name. That is also most important. And product name, suppose I say bharatjewels.com. So that domain name bharatjewels.com, the jewels is the product name. Bharat, you can directly mean that it is located at India, right? South Indian hotel.com. Like that I say, you can able to identify what purpose the business is, where it is located, how do they advertise? South Indian hotel.com, right? So this is the way you can coin your domain name in order to attract the people on your business. And the first strategy is on the domain name. So this strategy, this survey gives you how many domain names are presently available. You can see the totally this many domain names of registered. But when I do the survey, what I found was more than 80% of this registration have been done without any country specific. There is no country specific registrations were given. That is like in that UK, that is very minimal. They are given mostly as org, com, like a common domain name in order to attract wide range of people, right? So that is the reason they are using that way. And the second strategy for optimizing your search is linking the strategies. That is, whenever you are writing a keyword on your particular search engine, there should be a corresponding text available in your site, and that can be taken up as the keyword. And as I told, the more inbound links is preferable. That means many other sites should have a link to your sites. So that is called as an inbound link. And if you are having used the spider or a crawler for creating the indexes for your website, that is very much essential for your linking strategy. And whenever you do the quality of inbound, that is also very important. The other sites may be referring to your site, but those sites should be a secure sites. Then only the customer will not feel that your site is a spurious site. So that is also very important. So we have to always concentrate on creating a content, effective content, and we should have ownership of writing our content, and it should not copy from any other sites. We should not copy the content from some other site, and we should not put it in our site on a similar way. And there should be a good amount of outbound links also. We should also have certain references for other sites. That is what I have outbound links I'm mentioning. But compared to outbound link, inbound link should be more. Many of them should refer to you. So how it comes, when if I run a business for a hotel purpose, if it is if there are many tourism sites are there, on those tourism sites they should link to me. That is my inbound links. So what is this outbound link? In that particular hotel, I am giving link to the tourism links. That is my outbound link. So the two-way communications I'm showing here. So that is called inbound link as well as outbound link. It is similar to your graph. You are having a node. From one node, you are having a forward path and you are having a backward path, right? So that is the thing. We call it as a inbound link as well as outbound link. So what is my target? I wanted to increase the number of inbound links. I wanted to optimally maintain a good number of outbound links, and my content should be relevant with respect to the link. So whenever the particular link is being clicked, accordingly, my site should give only the relevant content so that the people will be viewing my site very often. As they view my site very often, my page rank will be keep on increasing. So what is this page rank? I will tell you little later. So this is the idea I wanted to maintain as a second major strategy for improvising my search. The third strategy is identifying the keyword. So popular keywords. So what are the popular keyword? I should use it for my link. As I told you already, for every link, I can provide a index keyword. So whenever in a search engine, a user is typing that keyword, my URL links will be taken up from the index table and my site will be populated to the search engine with the appropriate page rank. So that is the idea, right? So I wanted to have an appropriate keyword for attracting the people's interest, and I should promote my site. So that is the idea. And what are the parameter I have to use for choosing my keyword is it should be a theme related, it should be a popular keyword, there should be a low competition for my keyword, and I should find out the requirement of the market, day by day changes in the market. So accordingly, I should promote my keywords of the website. It should not be obsolete. It should not be a 10 years before keyword. It should be something fashionably. I should change the keywords for my site links. And the fourth strategy is title tag. So I have to have a proper title tag. So what is this title tag? When a user is typing the URL, something will be displayed on the title, right? So that is called as a title tag. Suppose I take gmail.com, it will be showing a title tag on the browser. There, I should show certain information to the user. So that is the title tag. Normally, what we use is the Felicons. So the Felicon is the small icon which indirectly indicate the business strategy. So by seeing the Felicon, I should know the title of the particular website. So that is the idea. Second is meta description tag. That is, you are going to display below the title. That is, whenever you are showing the title tag, below the title tag, you will be showing the meta description about your site. For what purpose the site is being functioning. A small description about your site. That is very important. It is also playing a crucial role in searching. And alt tag, image alt tag. So whenever you are including any component, there will be an alt tag. So that is also should be properly key coded so that they will be one such indicators. Suppose you search by image, your site has to be extracted if you are having a similar image in your site also. That is the kind of alt tag. So through images also, through video also, you are extracting the people to your site. And finally, all this information has to be available in a global, publicly available search engine or a web directory. Then only your sites will be coming under search. So this is a sample. I'm showing what are these components are. So this is your title tag. And this is a meta description about your tag. So whenever your title is being shown on your search engine, certain information is coming. So this you can specify. I think I can show my own site on all this information. Let me come back to the my own website so that you can understand better what I'm saying about. So this is a website provider, Wix.com, on which I have a login. And this is subscribed for 1 year with a subscription fee of 600, I think. So this is my site actually. It is meant for promoting a business, but we made it for our own access. Let me show my site name. So this is my login page, and my site name is, this is my site name actually, which I'm running from my login at Wix.com, right? So this is my site content. So you can, this is actually developed by my son for the purpose of space information. So whatever related to the space he maintains, he has some tags, and I can show you what I mean by the links. See here, I have a link, right? This is my hyperlink, and sometime we may rank some other sites to come over here. As I told, they are called as inbound links. So like that, you have lots of informations, and here you have lots of language to be chosen. So these are all some of the variety you have in your site, and you are providing the site number, everything. So now what happens is, suppose I search in the website. Right. So I'm searching. Sorry, it's coming this way. 1 minute. I'll close this and I'll go back to Google. Actually, I was interested. Yeah. So I'm going to my site. So this is the place. So this is my site, right? So whatever we theoretically say, everything you can take up action over here. You can manage your domain and you can take site actions. Either you can edit your site. When you're editing your site, you can do all the things, whatever I'm telling. Yeah. So these are the various menus you have. Right. So this is various menus you have here, and the place. This is the place where I wanted to show you the other options. Manage page, right? So the manage page will tell you so you come over here under the manage page, you can see. Are you able to see? Under the particular page, you are having the settings, you are having the SEO Google, and you are having the other information, subpage connectivity and everything. Suppose I go to the settings. Under settings, you can see lots of other things, permissions, SEO Google. You will be having the SEO Google is nothing but you are giving the indexing over here. So this is about your particular link. So what you are saying, so this is your title and this is your meta information, and what you are going to display over the particular web page along with your URL, and like that you are providing the indexing here. So this is the indexing place. What is the page about? The description about your particular page. So this is very important for connecting to your link. So these are the information, we call it as a SEO. So yeah, so you are doing a description about your page. This description should have a iconic keyword, and these keywords are being used in the search engines. So based on that matching only, they will be selecting your website under the SEO. So you can make your website connected with Google. So whenever a keyword is being typed, Google will be connecting to your site, or it will be transferring the user to your site. So for every pages, for every links, I'm having the provisions for changing all the things. So this is the way you are managing your site, and you are improvising your site connectivity with appropriate description. So this is the description which is very important. So every pages I have given different description in order to make a iconic representation of your unique pages. I hope it is visible to all of you, and you were able to understand better what I mean by this. And is that clear for all of you?
Yes, madam. Madam.
Sir?
One question from Kavita, madam.
Okay.
Regarding, actually, he asking question. PsychUp, it is one of the leading website. Website provide open to the resources.
Yes.
That means
Sci-Hub, yes,
who
yes,
are the
yes.
publication
Sci-Hub, yes,
in the, yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He asked the question: does PsychUp uses the scrapping?
Yes, yes. That is the idea. They are using
Yes.
all the URL. Suppose you see the Sci-Hub, they are asking for DOI or they are asking for URL, and every one of them should have a index. They should have a proper index in the database, such database. So in that case only they will accept it, and they are trapping to the particular index table, and they are taking up the content. Actually, they don't do formal service. They are doing a backdoor service only, but still it is the way they are doing it.
Yes, Kavita madam, are you clear?
Yeah, someone is asking for enlarging my screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually.
sir, Kavita is here. So my question is scrapping is legal or illegal?
Yeah, actually, the purpose of introduction of any technology is for legal purpose only. But there is always a pros and cons. No, the technology may be taken up in two ways, either for legal or illegal purpose also. But Sci-Hub, they demand that they have been run by some business partners. They are paying in the backdoor of Sci-Hub. They don't reveal that are they legal or illegal. It's a kind of a developing country service. That is the way they claim. Developing country are unable to subscribe for the journal, so they are giving as a free of cost, and they have been paid by some business giants. That is the way they claim. They don't say they are illegal. I hope I answered, madam.
Yeah. So for my personal use, if I am going to scrap some information, so it will be not illegal or what?
Yeah, that is why it is in your website design. Are you going to allow the security and privacy at what level? There are sites where you cannot do crawling, you cannot do scrapping. Crawling is very required. Scrapping is restricted. Scrapping the content of the website may be restricted at certain places where they feel as a secured one. Even Sci-Hub, they cannot intervene the web directory of Science Direct, right? They could not able to intervene the ACM directory. They are able to intervene IEEE, but they are not able to intervene those two, right? That is the level of security they maintain. Is that fine, ma'am? Shall we move further?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Madam,
Yes.
madam, another one question through chat box.
Okay.
Actually, is there any free web developer apart from Wix? The question from Professor Ravi.
Okay. Yeah, Wix, I felt why I referred Wix is it is very dynamic and it has lots of content management component and it is very flexible and it allows security also, but the cost is very cheaper. We found there is a connectivity between Wix and Google also. There is a great partnership with Wix as well as Google Console. Because developing a website is not an issue, but Google Console is the pioneer for making your business into searching. So for which the correct web service provider has to be approached, for which I prefer Wix. The others we had seen lots of other gone through many more other people also, but I don't remember their site name. There are people available, they are marketing their domain name and everything, but going into console is very important rather than designing. Do you get the point? The Google Console is the search engine optimizer that connects your website to the business. Yeah, there is one question. Now I had my library web page on webs.com. Okay, sir. Are you paying for it? Webs.com. Are you paying for it? Are you a subscribed user or a free user?
You were asking me, sir?
Ravi T. Somebody
Yeah,
has typed.
Yeah. He asking actually, Skype up is under the court. They're asking. He's telling.
Yeah. Not that
Yeah.
question I am asking. Somebody typed
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they are maintaining their library web page on webs.com. Are they paying it or not? That's the question I'm having. Are they paying for maintaining their site? There are two reasons we have to pay. One for designing the component, another for taking a domain name. Oh, it's free. Are you getting the domain name, sir? Is it connected with the Google?
Professor Ravi, sir, please.
Can you interact me further? Are you having a domain name? Are you able to connect your site in the Google? Okay, we left the conversation. Okay. So that point we need to know. See, maintaining the site locally, yeah, that is the issue, sir. You can make, if you are having a free website design portal, you can design it, you can maintain it within your local intranet. If you want to take it to the public, you need to have a static domain name, and that is applicable only if you go for a domain name purchase. And after you purchase a domain name, you have to connect your domain name with Google Console. That is the third stage. So what we did is we took